So, welcome everybody to a commentated clear of Touhou 7, Perfect Cherry Blossom, played on hard mode. This was my first Touhou game, so I'm very excited to share this clear with you, share some of my impressions on the game. So, this game originally came out in 2003, I believe, and from what I could gather online, it's considered to be one of the iconic entries in the series, and I also saw it recommended a lot to new players, so I thought I'd begin with Perfect Cherry Blossom. And gameplay-wise, this is pretty simple, but it's the good kind of simple. I was just playing some Akai Katana, and despite clearing that game twice on original mode, I still don't understand how the gameplay works. Anyway, here you have your basic unfocused rapid shot, focus shot, and a bomb. Good stuff. And with these pickups here, the red pickups power you up, and thankfully there's not that much power management in this game. You just power yourself up, and then when you die, you get back on track pretty quickly. Then the blue pickups are for getting extends. So on the right side of the screen, you'll see a point meter that's at 12 right now, and when I get 50, when I can collect 50 of those point items, I'll get an extend, and every time I get an extend, the amount that I need to get rises. And also these pink things that you collect, cherry blossoms, petals, whatever they are, they fill up your cherry meter, and when that meter is full, you get a temporary shield that you can use as a shield, as a bomb, or if you manage to just keep it, or I think it lasts for like 10 seconds, around 10 seconds, you get a score bonus. So there's a nice risk-reward thing going on there. And throughout most of the run, I'll be using the cherry border as a kind of way to clear out the bullets. And so I guess I'll say something about the character that I'm playing. So there are 3 characters in the game to choose from, with 2 variations each. Oh yeah, so you can see me getting that cherry border, but because I'm at the beginning of the game, I'm not going to do any cancels. I'm just going to chill out and collect that border bonus. So yeah, there's 3 characters, and I tried all of them a little bit, and from what I could gather, Reimu is kind of a safe character because you're pretty slow, you have a smaller hitbox, have a homing attack, but it's like she's not that powerful, so bosses take a while. And then Marissa seemed like an advanced character, so with her you really need to position yourself and kind of know what you're doing, and maybe do some point blanking and stuff. And Sakuya that I'm playing here, she just seemed like the best of all worlds because she has a wide unfocused shot, she has a homing shots, she's pretty fast, and she gets a lot of bombs, like 4 bombs per life. It's quite a lot in this game, especially as I think you get something like 10 lives throughout the run, so there didn't seem to be a downside to playing with Sakuya, so that's what I did. So the interesting thing about this game is that it's mostly about boss fights. Like the stages are like these kind of preludes, I guess, to boss fights more than full complete stages. Like the stage design is pretty simple, pretty minimal. You can see here. Later on it does get more intense, and I think it's stage 4 that's actually pretty interesting, and you would need to route it out to do it without bombs and stuff. But the approach that I took with this game is that I just did full runs without practicing any like individual sections, which is what I usually do. And that's because, well, there's 2 reasons. First of all, the game seemed like I would be able to beat it without needing to do like specific practice, because it gives you enough resources and stuff. And also the game is pretty long, like this clear is over 30 minutes long, so I don't know, there's so many sections that I could potentially practice that I just didn't even know where to start. So I figured I would just do some full runs and see what happens, and if I needed to practice a certain section, I would. But I would at first I would start by just doing full runs, and that was enough to get the clear. So yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with just having cleared the game. I'm not going to try to do a kind of a, I don't know, any crazy no miss, no bomb runs or anything. Well, I guess they could talk a little bit about the approach also that I took with this game, where because you get so many bombs with Sakuya, my objective with this run, excuse me, is to obviously clear the game, but my kind of secondary objective is try not to die when I still have bombs left in stock, because I noticed the kind of a pattern in my playing, not just with this game, but with other games too, lately, where I would get sometimes pretty frustrated when I play shmups. And I realized it's because I was often dying when I still had resources in stocks, and I would lose runs to, like, because I just wouldn't bomb. So I figured out I would bomb whenever I feel threatened, and so then I could just dodge without any bombs, and if I died then I died. Yeah, you can see me bombing here. I think this is a pretty early stage in the game. So that's what I'll try to do in this run. We'll see if I succeed. Spoilers, I won't, but it doesn't matter. So I'll try to keep this pretty safe, but also do some legit dodging. So the interesting thing about this game, or I guess I should say, like, the interesting thing about the challenge in this game is, as you can see, this game is all about micro dodging, these really, really dense patterns. And because the stages themselves are pretty short, like the stage portions, not the bosses, the stage portions are pretty short, and there's not that much routing, it really is about kind of raw micro dodging for the most of the run. And as I said, the run is like 30 minutes long, so it's pretty demanding and really kind of tests your concentration. And that's why I just died there. Despite this being a very, very easy part, I was just like hanging out there and let a bullet hit me for some reason. And that's because, especially if you do a couple of runs in a row, it's kind of, at least for me, it's kind of hard to keep that concentration up. Like, this is a very demanding run in a kind of an endurance sense. Because not only do you need to kind of learn the patterns and do the patterns, but you need to keep your concentration up for like 30 minutes. And that's why you're going to see some very funny deaths from me in this run. And that was the first of them. But it was so funny that I didn't even get demotivated by it. It was just like, what just happened? I was just laughing at myself there, so that's okay. So, the main attraction for me are, of course, the bullet patterns here, and there's like a ton of them, and most of them are pretty interesting. It's kind of cool to play this kind of game where I had kind of a what's the saying, like, oh, I can't remember it right now. It's like something like consider what you wish for, because you might just get it, or something like that. Because what I've always thought that, like in shmups, the main thing for me, what attracts me to these games, is the dodging. So for a long time I thought that I just want like lots of dodging in my shmups, and everything else is kind of secondary. And with this game, that's what I got. This is pure dodging for 30 minutes, and it turned out that it's not maybe the best recipe for a game. You want to have some other stuff as well, and that's kind of my main criticism with this game. It's very, very creative. It's very fun to play. I continued to play this even after clearing it. But it does get a bit monotonous, and that kind of ties in with that kind of an endurance run feel where it just like kind of keeps on going on and on and on. And also because you don't get as much of that of that stage design and maybe like visual variations and stuff. And also, hey, I'm going to re-record this short bit here because, well, English isn't my native language. Sometimes I mangle up things so badly I can't stand listening to it. But anyway, what I was trying to say here is that the music is obviously of very high quality and Zan is an amazing composer, but it does stick to this very high intense style most of the time. And that can contribute to that feeling of fatigue and exhaustion during the run. So, yeah, the music is cool, but with the pacing, it gets a little bit tricky. So, I guess that's most of my like general stuff out of the way, so from this point on I can concentrate more on the actual commentary and what's happening in the run. So I really love these original DDP Hibachi bullets here. Let's see what happens. This is a very difficult pattern for me to dodge. Often this game has these patterns where there's lots of small bullets and also these big spheres, and for some reason they are pretty challenging for me, and they're gonna get pretty hard at the end too, so I really need to keep my composure up here. So now we're entering stage 4, and this is really where the game starts to get challenging, and this is the stage that you really need to route out if you want to do it without bombs. And obviously I didn't do it, so I kind of rely on my bullet hell instincts, like trying to stream bullets as much as possible, but also getting those cancels from the cherry border. So you just saw me intentionally ram myself into a bullet to get a cancel. And actually, you don't need to do that. I realized it after doing this run that you can just press the bomb button, I think, and get that cancel. So you don't need to get hit intentionally, which is what I do in this run, which is pretty bad because I think I'm going to die at least once to that, to mistiming my border cancel. So yeah, this stage has a lot of enemies coming from the sides and trying to corner you. And I think I'm going to use some bombs here, maybe die here, we'll see. And the interesting part here is also you can potentially get a lot of point items in this stage, but of course if you go for those items, you might get trapped by the bullets. And that's what happens to me here. Pretty challenging stage. I'm sure there's kind of a way of doing it safely, but I just mostly play on instinct here. Of course, because this is like I think this is like my 7th full run of the game. I think I did like 3 runs on normal mode and then maybe like 4 runs on hard mode, so I did learn some tricks about this game. I also bomb a lot when there's fast patterns because I'm not good with fast bullets at all, especially if I need to move kind of diagonally at the same time. Excuse me. Just I had an annoying flu a while ago and my voice doesn't seem to want to recover, so I'll grab some ginger tea here. It's really fun to play this game after playing a lot of cave games because I think that there's a lot of players who start out with Touhou and then they learn the basics, the fundamentals of bullet hell with Touhou. And I think this game is pretty good about teaching those. And then they get into cave and then they know how to play cave games because they've honed those Dalmako instincts with this game. And for me it's the other way around because I've played a lot of cave games and other shmups. I've learned to do some things like streaming and tap dodging and stuff. So this game feels like super natural for me to play. It's like there's going to be some patterns in this game where I just it's kind of funny because I can't like process them intellectually, but my hands know what to do. It's really fun, even without me like having learned those patterns very well. This section is going to get pretty hectic with those huge bullet dumps coming from the sides, especially when they turn red. The blue ones aren't that bad, but I think I'm going to bomb here soon just because I just get nervous, because I need to, again, it's that concentration aspect. You have to hold this kind of concentration up for so long. I just get tired and scared. And then I bomb because I have a lot of bombs. And yeah, you can see me, I already have something like 7 extra lives, which is pretty crazy, coming from cave games and such. But because the game goes on for so long and there's so much micro dodging, you also kind of need those resources, at least if you don't really learn the game. I haven't really talked about the aesthetics and the story side of this game, but there are some really nice moments like this one here where the game like stops for a while and you get a nice music break, and the backgrounds look pretty nice in my opinion. There's kind of a lo-fi PlayStation 2 kind of this blurry polygon feel to them, which I really enjoy. I also like this game is from 2003, so it has that kind of a mid-2000s Windows aesthetics with all the fonts and stuff, which I really enjoy. It's kind of nostalgic for me. The character art, it's just not my thing. Apologies to all Touhou fans. And same thing with the story bits, I just didn't find them very compelling. Though I think there is a case to be made that shmups could have stories and they could be made well, but this one didn't really hit it for me. So this boss is pretty challenging. The first section with the Taito lasers, I just always bomb there because it's so difficult. This one's pretty hard too, that's why I'm dying. And I think this section may be one of my favorite moments in the game. Like, this pattern is so cool. It's just kind of this infinite stream where you just have to keep on moving to the side, and then you need to switch over to the other side. Left, 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 then right, right, right. It's very cool, and it's not that difficult. It just feels very good to do. One of my favorite patterns in the game. Games don't need always, like shmups don't always need to be difficult to be fun, in my opinion. I'm very bad at these very messy patterns with lots of bullets everywhere. But because I got a cherry border, I feel pretty safe. And I didn't even need to use it, which is nice. Okay, so this pattern, I don't think I've seen this before. So I just had no idea what to do here, and I couldn't figure it out during the pattern, so I just bombed my way through it. Patterns are also very beautiful, which is kind of one of the main attractions for me in this game. It just looks cool in play and during replays. And I enjoyed this pattern where those enemies kind of keep you at bay with those bullet swords, so you just kind of they keep you down there. Yeah, lots of messy stuff going on here. And the thing with keeping you at the bottom of the screen is, from what I could gather, you get a nice boost to your damage output if you get higher on the screen, but of course it's pretty difficult to do with these denser late game patterns. But I try to do it from time to time when I feel confident in myself. Again, love that background. Kind of gives me some Super Mario 64 Infinite staircase vibes. It's kind of rising and rising and rising and rising. And here, I'm trying to collect as many point items as I can while dodging all of this stuff, because I want to hit that 800 point extent before I get to the final boss. Because I think the final boss does give you some point items, but not much, so I want to kind of collect as many as I can before getting there. But of course, collecting those point items makes this game more difficult. And that's actually kind of that's a risk-reward system in this game that I enjoyed quite a bit, because it's kind of keeps on going through the whole game, and you always have that option of going for the point items instead of playing it safe. So I thought that was very cool. So yeah, here you can see me doing some, it's not quite point blank, but I'm doing more damage to the enemies when I get closer up to them. So this boss is really weird because you need to fight her like 3 times, I think like twice in this stage and a third time at the beginning of next stage. I think there's like story reasons for it, but it's still, I don't know, it's kind of weird from a gameplay perspective. I don't think it quite worked out. So this pattern is very cool. If I have bombs, I always bomb here, but because I'm out of bombs, I'm forced to do it legit. Like this slowing down and speeding up is something that I haven't seen in any shmups that I've played. At least I don't think so. So this was a kind of new thing for me and a pretty cool gimmick in my opinion. So when the game slows down, you kind of need to figure out a route that you're gonna take, and then when it speeds up, you need to execute it. So really cool pattern. It's really nice to get a border at this point, because then I can clear the screen from all of that, from all of those bullets, of which there are plenty. So yeah, it kind of feels weird to have fought this boss, and then there's like a very short interlude, and then we're fighting again. I mean, there's like, again, there's like story reasons, there's dialogue in here, but I don't think the pacing quite works out like it was intended. It just feels drawn out instead of like feeling intense or something. The interesting thing about this pattern is it feels kind of it reminds me of Espagaluda, which also came out in 2003, but it actually came out after this game. So I don't know, I think there were some other patterns too which remind me of Espagaluda. Espagaluda, what a name. I don't think it works in any language, in Japanese or in English. I wonder if, I don't know, if anybody knows anything about whether Cave ever took inspiration from Touhou, let me know, because it'd be very cool to learn about that stuff. I also saw some like Doronpachi side-eye Ojo-like patterns in some boss fights. The thing about having to do this boss so many times is that you get familiar with the patterns, so while it looks pretty tough, it's not that difficult, luckily. This pattern is very difficult for me, so it seems static, but then those, some of the bullets start to go haywire and they go, just like fly all around, so that's why I use the border there, and then maybe, I think I'm going to bomb here maybe. No, I didn't. Okay, this was nicely done. This is one of the patterns that reminds me of Espagaluda as well, so kind of interesting to have those similarities between the games. Very, very cool pattern. Pretty tough, so that's why I'm going to bomb here. There's lots of patterns in this game where you need to keep track of like several very different patterns at the same time, and those are interesting but also pretty tough. I suck at this pattern, it's just so messy, so noisy, I just can't do it. Maybe I can. Okay, it seems okay, because I see that I'm out of bombs, so that's why I'm doing it legit instead of bombing. But that's the fun part about like getting rid of your bombs, because then it kind of frees you to just play, to just try and dodge, and if you die, that's okay. And if you manage to squeeze through, it just feels really great. So despite me complaining about the game's length and pacing, and I do think those are problems, there is a nice sense of escalation to the game. There's some really weird dodging going on there. What is happening? Yeah, but the game does have a nice kind of progression where it does feel like it escalates, and now that we're at the final stage, it really does feel like it's the final stage, and with the backgrounds, and even though this boss is repeating again, which is I don't know, I don't think the game needed it, but as we get to the final boss especially, it's kind of cool how it kind of just has so many attacks, so many patterns, pretty cool. Yeah, I died there, but that's okay, because again, we're getting into the pretty challenging territory here, and spoilers, I'm going to bomb and die a lot during this final fight, and there's going to be some kind of deaths that I regret, just me doing some like weird stuff, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I kept the story bits for those who want to check those out, and also for me, because during gameplay it's kind of hard to concentrate on the story so much, so that I could just read through the dialogues while watching the replay and maybe get some new perspectives into the story stuff. Now we're at the final boss, and this is a pretty lengthy one, but also a pretty fun one. I really enjoy this final fight a lot. These patterns can get you trapped pretty easily, but because I had like 5 bombs, I'm pretty lenient in bombing this beginning stage here. So whenever I feel threatened, I just bomb, because I don't want to die with those bombs, because that's just going to annoy me a lot. This is one of my favorite patterns in the game, because I have cherry border, I'm just going to get the bullet cancel. Basically, you need to move first to one side, going to the right, because of those lasers, and then you need to do the same thing left side, but because I do some kind of I get closer to the boss during those pauses in the pattern, I don't need to do it very many times. Very cool pattern. And here, as I said, the patterns where you have both small bullets and these really big spheres, they just mess me up for some reason. Just hard to keep track of all the stuff happening. Luckily I had that border, so I just got a bullet cancel there. Nice. And at this point I'm basically just trying to keep it together. I don't have like any like huge strategies or anything. It's just raw dodging and concentration. I think I'm going to die here soonish. I just make a bad dodge. A bomb there, but then yeah, I just got hit by a bullet there. That was just a bad dodge on my part. And here I think I'm going to do something really, really stupid. And I decided to get a bullet cancel from that cherry border, but it ran out before I did my kind of a ramming into a bullet, so that's why you shouldn't get hit intentionally with the border, just use the bomb button. I need to double check that, but I'm pretty sure you can just use the bomb button to activate the bullet cancel with the border, so don't be like me. Don't need to die for stupid reasons. There are plenty of valid reasons to lose lives at this point. This is a very interesting pattern, pretty challenging too, so you kind of need to misdirect this pattern that follows you, and you need to get on the other side, and that means getting higher on the screen, and of course it's kind of scary when you get higher on the screen, so that's why I'm going to bomb in this pattern, just to be safe, and because I have so many bombs left. Very interesting concept, this idea of a bullet pattern that follows you around constantly. This is one of my favorite patterns in the game. I don't even understand what's happening here, but here I think the Dalmako instincts, if you have played enough bullet hell, you just kind of know what to do. You just keep that tap dodging and all the patterns just fly by you. It's a really, really cool feeling, and I think it also kind of shows an understanding of on the developer's part, on Zan's part, like how he can design these patterns, where you just kind of, you can play instinctively, and patterns will just kind of like fly right by you. It's very cool. Here you just need to stream those big bullets. So many phases to the final boss. Again, both cool and exhausting at the same time. Getting some cherry border cancels in. I think I'm a little bit better at this pattern than some of the earlier ones, just because it's quite a bit slower, and I'm better at slower patterns, so feels nice to dodge this stuff. Again, just keeping it together, trying not to die, just concentrating. That death was okay. And then you think it is over, but it is not. Some really cool music here, and we get the final pattern. And the cool thing about this final attack is that it's not too difficult. Like, I'm going to bomb here, I think I'm going to die here too. But it's all about keeping that concentration up. It's not really about doing any like super crazy dodges. It's kind of a pattern just kind of repeats and repeats and repeats, and there's some kind of like this pattern is pretty, it kind of messes with your eyes, which is cool. So you just kind of need to keep doing it, which is cool. Really enjoy doing this ending bit. Also, it's very cool visually too. Very visually striking finale. Doing some bombing action because, again, this is hard. And yay! That's Touhou 7 Perfect Cherry Blossom done on hard mode. I'll let the ending play out for those who want to check it out, but yeah, in conclusion, I really enjoyed my time with this game. When I first got into it, it felt kind of weird, maybe mainly because of the kind of the visual aspects, with kind of repeating backgrounds and not having kind of stage design that I'm accustomed to, and also the length of the game and just how much micro dodging you need to do. But it really grew on me. Despite the fact that I do think there's some flaws in this game. Like, I think this clear is like 32 minutes long or something. I think you could easily like slice off maybe like 5 minutes from that and get like a tighter game. I don't know, maybe it's just a cave fan in me talking, but yeah. Enjoyed my time with this. If you play bullet hell but you haven't played Touhou, I recommend checking this game out. And I also look forward to trying more Touhou games in the future. I think Touhou 8, I saw Touhou 8 recommended a lot as well, so I guess I'll move on to that one next when I get that Touhou feel. Yeah, thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you again soon.